Hey, welcome back to another episode of the MindShare podcast. This is where we share strategies and insights to help you work smarter, build stronger relationships, and create the success that you deserve. This show is proudly sponsored by Kids Keep in Touch Systems, your ultimate marketing and lead generation CRM, REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's trusted source for real estate news and insights, and REVEL Realty, redefining real estate with bold marketing, cutting-edge training, and a culture that empowers success. Learn more about our sponsors and download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle at mindshare101.com. And while you're there, discover how our full range of services can help take your business to the next level. From one-to-one coaching for personalized growth, to the MindShare Collective group coaching for community-driven success, momentum training to build unstoppable progress, and keynote speaking to inspire and motivate your team. We are here to help you elevate your game. And while you're at it, learn more about joining the revolution to experience the bold new way that real estate is being redefined. Today's episode is number 329, and we are diving into mastering video marketing for realtors to help you go from fear to fame. With over 15 years of experience in video production, he is an influential director with a strong knowledge in developing processes and building creative concepts for high-profile clients. Recent successes include developing a commercial and corporate department for a small business, reaching 1 billion views for a major YouTube channel, and creating a successful marketing campaign for global leading brands, along with orchestrating high-impact promo videos for us right here at MindShare 101. His company, Santos Media, has an innovative approach when it comes to content creation, editing, and design to help you look great in every production and sound great on every recording. Over the past 20 years, he has carefully curated the top filmmakers, cinematographer, editors, and designers in Canada. He says, "We listen closely. We elevate your brand through video production and content strategy. We help clients look great, reach markets, and surpass targets. We approach every project with a fresh approach and knowledge." Joining me on this episode of the MindShare podcast is special guest, director Mike Santos. Mike, welcome to the MindShare podcast.
Dave, that was one hell of a bio. Like, nobody does it better than you. Now I feel nervous. I feel nervous because how am I supposed to live up to that now?
Dude,
Yeah.
how do you think I feel every time you turn that camera on? You're like, and you do your little clipboard and you're like, all right, Dave, go for it. I'm like, I don't know what to say. And you're like, just do you, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Thank
good,
you,
buddy.
thank you.
It's nice to have you on the camera with me this time.
Yeah.
It's kind of different. Like normally you're behind that camera. But no, it's cool, man. I figured it'd be an interesting, enlightening conversation for our guests. To seriously learn, and sort of, as we titled today's episode, lights, camera, action, mastering video marketing for realtors from fear to fame. And the reality is if you're in real estate or you're not in real estate, it doesn't really matter. You're going to learn a lot from this guy. But Mr. Santos, it is a pleasure to have you on the show today, my man. It really is.
Thank you so much, David. Honestly, it's an honor. You mentioned it was episode 329.
Yeah, man.
Episode 329. I don't think I've done anything in life 329 times, let alone you doing a podcast episode 329 times. Geez,
Buddy.
that is okay. If we're gonna dive into how are you gonna make this whole video marketing work? I would say the number one thing is consistency. So you set the example, and I mentioned this to you multiple times, the respect that I have for you, seeing 329 episodes on this podcast, which is a great milestone.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that very much. No, seriously. And I of course, as you know, appreciate very much all the work you do, and how you've helped us grow. But you nailed it, eh? Consistency. It is the hardest thing to achieve or to accomplish or to do, to execute on, whatever you want to say. Consistency is a tough thing. It really is, because And this is not about me sort of tapping myself on the back and going, way to go, Dave. I mean, like we need to do that. That's super important, because if we're not doing that and we don't recognize where the wins come from, because I could say this too, is that, you know, we have a system and a process to how we remain consistent. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do so. And the driving force for me behind, again, anything is the fact that it is that magic ingredient. So it's like, like Jen said to me this morning on her way out to the gym, she's like, I don't want to go. I'm like, and the first thing in my mind was like, why? And then she's like, because I just don't want to. And then I was like, and the next thing in my mind was like, yeah, I get it. But she went.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for me. It's like, going on a regular basis. It's like there's not every day that you want to go. In fact, a lot of days you don't want to go, but you do know that if you go, that's where the results come from. So
Yeah.
that's working out, that's recording video, that's making phone calls, that's, making new connections, that's recording the podcast. I mean, like everything we do. So I find that, and I've learned, Mike, that the more consistent we are with whatever it is, the more we're going to accomplish.
Yes.
Well,
100%.
we just got an email the other day from a company called FeedSpot. And I think it's important that I mentioned here, because it came out of nowhere, and I think they sent it to us last year as well. But they had done their like annual rankings of podcasts, especially for the real estate industry. And last year, I know we fell into, I think it was like the top 20.
Okay.
This year, we're number 6.
Wow.
And that's across North America for the entire real estate industry. And it's very cool. Like, you hear these things come through from a variety of lists or companies or achievements or whatever, and you kind of go like, it's cool, it feels nice, and thank you for the recognition. Super grateful. Like FeedSpot, thank you. And there's some very notable names on that list.
Yeah.
We're above a lot of those notable names. That's a cool thing. But it's like do I take that back and say, because of that, I can tell you that we made X amount of dollars? No. But I can tell you that we got recognition. And if they're seeing it, then there's got to be other people seeing it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, okay, just keep being consistent, keep doing. So you bring up a great point, man. It's so much about that.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely something that's great. Consistency is a key thing. And then finding ways. Now, how do we stay consistent? Like, I'm taking a look here. I'm already like taking notes, Dave, of how you're doing this. I
Yeah.
like how before we went live, I'm in the VIP room. You prepped me up. It's all proper. Like, I'm looking at these logos and everything, the time. You got your intro card. So it seems like you have a proper system in place. I'm aware because I do understand the technical side, and I was surprised. I'm like, oh damn, Dave's got this locked down. That's something that usually like somebody really technical, but you got it there. And this, I think that's the key thing is like, okay, so how do we stay consistent? We got to find the ways so that we could sustain, sustain this. And to sustain it, you got to have the proper processes. And that's where your expertise, where my expertise can come into play. Even myself, I try to stay consistent with the content. It's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
All the time, I'm trying to do like, okay, I should do something really super cinematic. The truth is, it's very hard to sustain that. So I try to find these little hacks, these little ways that I could streamline this and stay consistent and continue to connect with people like yourself, with people on the internet. So yeah, consistency is a great thing. And in this whole podcast, Dave, is there anything like, I have a question for you. Like, what keeps you going? Like, how do you count 329 episodes? What keeps you going?
You know what, man? It's funny that you asked that. I would say the depths of that goes back to the fact that I don't want to give up.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to give up out of frustration. I don't want to quit on myself. I don't want to allow a mindset or I'm not feeling it to stop me. Because, and it's a great question, Mike. Like we hear that from so many people, right? Oh, I'm too busy. Like you will never hear those words out of my mouth.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you, I get more done in a day than most people do in a week. Again, not because I'm better, smarter, cooler, anything. I just structure my days accordingly.
Yeah.
I will also tell you that I run at a million miles an hour. And there are many times, oftentimes, where it is not the cool, calm, collected kind of flow. There's a lot of high stress where it's like, you've got to be on the ball. You've got to get shit done. And then when you're done that, based on the time that the schedule says, you got to move on to the next. Because if you don't, the rest of it doesn't happen. So it comes back to, let's say, creating the podcast and writing content. I was telling you before we got on air that, on Monday, I was at a showcase with my son. He was one of the top baseball players, let's say in Ontario, like there was a lot of them there, and they were doing the showcase to like measure these guys and like rate these guys and see where they excel. And anyways, here I am taking an entire day off. And although I've got like this amazing team that works with me, that helps me kind of execute, there's certain things that they don't do, I have to do.
Yeah.
And now everything that had to be done on Monday, realistically, some of it got done, but a lot of it didn't because I wasn't in the place to do it, like at my desk. I was out with him, which then meant Tuesday has to be arranged in a way that this stuff's going to get done. Because the difference becomes, if I don't do it on Tuesday, then do I keep up with the consistency? And what ended up really happening was, like, I started the day yesterday and kind of leaned to Leanne. I'm like, holy shit, who's on the podcast this week? Fully knowing you were the guest on the podcast. Like, I invited you to be on the podcast. And like, there was that moment where your brain just goes, I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on. You get into that little bit of panic mode. And oftentimes what happens is people start chasing bright, shiny objects, and they start just doing what they think they should be doing rather than what they should be doing.
Yeah.
And so what I did was very simply look back at the schedule and went, that's right. From this time to this time, I'm crafting the podcast. Mike's on the show. I'm going to, get my show notes going. Had I not done that yesterday, and we know that I didn't do it on Monday, I already said that, this doesn't come together today.
Yeah.
Then what do? Forget about, and I love my listeners. I love the audience. And I think that it's amazing that there's so many people that tune in on a regular, but forget about everybody. I look in the mirror and I go, dude, you screwed up. Right? You missed it, right? You failed yourself. You didn't adhere to the systems and the process that you teach, that you normally operate on. That's a shitty conversation to have. That brings the mindset down. That does not allow for a place of productivity, right? And so when we look at that, I go, I don't want to be there. Okay, so let's continue to do what's got to happen. Which then says, okay, the stressing and the time and everything else, it's so compounded that it gets the blood boiling at a high level on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
But consistency, again, like I said before, is the magic ingredient to achieving anything we want in life.
100%.
So it's about system and process.
Yeah, 100%. Consistently showing up. And that's how we actually met.
Right.
Consistently showing up. Just to share with your audience how we met, I was in Ottawa. I believe this was Reality 24.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Reality 24 conference. I was there for one of your great colleague of yours, Kathleen Black.
Yep.
I was filming for her. And Dave pops up on stage. I'm like, and the way that he, like you just saw how he announces, the way that he announced Kathleen Black, I was like, oh, I better start press record now because this is a great bio. And so I put together a short clip for Kathleen. But because you did such a great job in introducing, I'm like, okay, let me integrate that into the clip. And also let me tag Dave because he did such a great job. Then from there, we dapped up. We're like, hey, what's up? Hey, let's stay connected, social media. And then the next thing you're doing, we're doing some work together. So consistently showing up, you never know who you're going to connect with. And it just opens the door to more opportunities.
That's, and that's exactly what it is, right? It's like, it's that consistency because we can look at any video we put out. And by the way, I got to say, if anybody's not following Mike on Instagram, go follow him, Mr. Santisi. Dude, the videos that you and the crew put out are wicked. They're hype, the music, the fun, like what a wicked group of people. And it's such awesome branding the way you guys do that. And again, it's like, but you put all the time and effort into producing this wicked video.
Yeah.
Time, effort, production, you name it, literally just to like load it up online and hit post.
Yeah.
And then wait and see if anything happens. And oftentimes things don't just happen because you just put up a video. They come back to the repetition and consistency of putting out multiple videos. And that's, again, when you say driving force, like I say, I don't want to quit on myself. I don't want to fail. It's like You ever seen that diagram where it's like a cartoon diagram where like there's these two guys kind of like digging and they're like chipping away at the earth,
Yeah.
and one of them, like, the gold is just on the other side of the dirt, and like they're both almost there, but one just decides to give up because he's like, I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And like he's literally like a foot from doing it, but he gave up just before it happened. It's kind of the thinking that I've always got of like the podcast, the video, the content, the presentation, the trainings, like whatever we're doing. I'm always like, all right, we're like right there on the brink of, and you're like, on the brink of what? I don't know, or like our next level of success. I don't know, like the next opportunity. But then you think to yourself, oh, I didn't do, so maybe I don't get. Okay, well, I'm not going to not do. I'm going to do, and we'll continue to get.
Yeah.
So it's again, man, it's a driving force there. But look, when we talk about all this stuff, I would say that from our audience, being specific in the real estate industry, there's a
Yeah.
lot of realtors in the industry that they do understand the need for video. Like they understand the importance of it. They understand that, the idea of like, I've got to do it. I got to incorporate it in marketing, but they hesitate to get in front of the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your top advice to these people for overcoming the fear so that they can begin to create their content strategies or put themselves out there more or just take advantage of this communication channel? What would you say is like if it was like, how do you get people to overcome the fear?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's a great question. The big thing is to first understand this whole social media game
Hmm.
and understand that this is a tool for you to connect with people. Okay? Don't approach it with the mindset of like, "Hey, this is where I could sell," or right away I'm going to put out a video and then it's going to convert. Yes, we
Like
would
that.
all love to put down a video and then convert into a sale, but you need to approach it in a way that this is a tool for you to connect with the right people, and then it could lead into, hey, let's do a meeting, let's do lunch, lead into better things. Okay. So I like this analogy where, when it comes to real estate, I know that a lot of realtors, they attend these conferences or
Hmm.
networking events because as we know, the real estate game, it's really, I mean, not just the real estate game, but this whole entrepreneurship, it's really all about relationships. So take a look at social media and treat it as if it's a conference, right? Okay. So at a conference, you have the opportunity to show up to the conference and not do anything and just listen. And what will happen? You'll learn, you'll get entertained, right? So it's going to be something that does develop you. Same way with social media. You could go into social media and consume and learn some stuff and also be entertained. Now, what happens at a conference if you start interacting with people? Right? You start, hey, shake hands. Hey, I know you. Like, I love your stuff. Came across your stuff online, and you start having these discussions. Okay, that's equivalent to engaging on social media, liking, commenting, maybe sending a DM. So, if you attend a conference and you start shaking hands and having conversations, you have a better chance of opening more doors. Now, what happens, Dave? You speak on stage,
Yep.
right? And you know the value of speaking on stage, where you get to now connect with a broader audience, showcase your expertise, be an authoritative figure in your industry, which then also opens doors. So let's take a look at speaking at a conference, almost like creating videos on social media. It's just going to open more doors by creating content. I know it's tough. It's tough. I still haven't been on stage. Some people out there, okay, they're very, it's not easy, but you got to start small. Start small. And the reason why I share this thing about like conference and social media, because I hope you understand the benefits to it, where it does allow you to connect with the right people.
Hmm.
And it's
That's
all, and this
yeah.
whole business side of things, it's all about finding your tribe, your community, so that this way you can really connect with them. So look at social media that way. Engage with
Okay.
people, connect with people. And by creating videos, it will enhance your overall experience. You'll connect with the right people. Yeah. So that's
So what if I'm like I'm like, but I'm scared. Like the
okay.
camera scares me, right? Because I know for me, and I've said this to you before, and like, Jonathan who works with us on our marketing team as well, does a ton of our video. We sit there sometimes and it's like, I don't know, throw me on a stage and I got no issue getting up on a stage, turning on a microphone. I don't care how many people are there, and like I could talk.
Yeah.
Realistically, when it comes to the camera, it doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
But I've said to you before, and I know I've said to Jonathan many times, it's like all of a sudden we sit down to start recording content, and you're like, all right, camera's on, go. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like you said, for a
my
second.
yes, I know, we tend to freeze up. Even myself doing this for multiple years and working with great people such as yourself, I still don't, I still freeze up when I'm in front of the camera. My recommendation for somebody that's really starting to get in is, and I'm sure you've heard this before, is document versus create.
I like that.
So we're all experts at something. So when it comes to real estate, you're an expert. You're doing what you do because you're an expert at that. So what if you were to start documenting some of your process or your day, whether it be a Zoom meeting, just screen record it. Throw up your phone. Okay, throw up your phone. Technology nowadays, man, you just use your phone, and even with the audio, it's like you don't even need these wireless mics anymore. There's softwares out there. Take a look at Adobe Podcasts, AI Adobe Podcast. My God, the stuff that you could do with that. You just throw your phone up. You don't even need a mic. You run the audio through Adobe Podcast, and you got yourself a podcast crisp audio. So document that. Document your Zoom meetings, your meetings with clients. Maybe what else happens in the day? You're at a listing. Pull out your phone and just like document that process. So we're really not asking you to come up with any type of concept or creating anything. It's just do what you do on a daily basis. Just turn on that phone, or you could hire somebody to follow you, and then now you could tell a bit more of a story. But start with just documenting your day so that you could showcase to the world, why you're an expert at what you do.
So if I sit from a like a workflow perspective, and then you talk about the equipment that we could use,
Yeah.
right? And I'm with you, man. I mean, we know those smartphones these things are. I mean, when it comes to the actual cameras and stuff, they're fantastic. You know, um, we're seeing a trend right now where everybody's holding that little fluffy, the little microphone with the little piece of fluff on top of it, kind of thing.
Mhm.
I think that's more, just for show than it is anything else. Because the reality is, if I hold my phone out here, even like arm's length, my microphone's going to pick me up, no problem. Do I
Yeah.
really need the microphone? We know that maybe the mic closer to you give you a little bit better sound quality, maybe more direct sound. But I also don't want to overcomplicate things for the average person who's recording video and going like, you've got all the power in your hands with your smartphone to be able to pull this off. And
Yeah.
sort of what you just said, it's like, hey, you're out and about, just turn your phone on.
Mhm.
But then the question would be, well, but I'm by myself and I'm driving, or I'm walking into a house that I'm about to show or do an open house at. Where do I put the phone? Like, do I just set it up like on a magnet or a suction cup on the window or whatever, one of those vent holders, like for the phone, just press record and just let it document me while I'm on a phone call, while I'm walking. Like, how would you suggest to an agent, to anybody who does want to document more and record more? One, I loved what you said there is like, how did you say it? Don't try to create, but document.
Yeah. Document versus creating.
Okay, document versus, so it's just turn the camera on. Don't worry about what you have to say to the camera. Just turn it on and capture a whole bunch of content. That's kind of the idea.
Exactly. Keep
Okay.
the creative to the professionals,
Yep.
because storyboarding and coming up with a whole concept, that's where it becomes more complicating.
Right.
Whereas you could just document what's already being done. And what are some easy things, like you hit the mark there. It's like, okay, let's not overcomplicate things, because we're going back to the whole thing about consistency. If we
Yep.
can
Oh, love that.
find a way to create some content that's sustainable, that's consistent, that's going to be very helpful. So one piece that I recommend that's very easy to answer your question, David, is get yourself a mini tripod that you could throw your phone onto. So if you're at a listing, okay, throw your phone, exactly that, exactly
Right.
that.
One of those.
Yeah.
I think that was $19 on Amazon.
Put your phone on that tripod.
Yep.
And let's say you're at a listing, it's a beautiful place. Find the best looking room, put the iPhone there, put yourself in the shot, and maybe just going over some notes or you're discussing with the client. Take a maybe 15 to 20-second clip, right? Very simple. It's a static clip. It shows the room, it shows you in work,
Mm-hmm.
and then you throw it onto Instagram, and there's different things that you could do. Add a trending sound. There could be some kind of inspirational trending sound that matches the story that you're trying to tell. I'm very big on storytelling. You could take that clip and create a whole story, write a whole paragraph, and that's the actual reel of like, hey, today I met this great client, beautiful house. We're looking to try to close the deal. They got a beautiful family, and right now we're going back and forth, but I really want to help them. Share that story with your audience, and that's one easy way. There's so
But
many
hold on,
different ways.
and to pause there, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
You don't even need to hear me speaking. You just need to see me speaking
yeah,
because there's trending music, and then people are actually going to read the caption that's like written over top of the whole thing.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't even have to talk. I mean, I'm
No,
talking, but you're not going to hear me necessarily.
exactly. Start with that.
Too simple.
Let's try to get the audience get their feet wet in this whole content creation game. No talking. Use a trending sound or use text, but at least you're showing up and you're telling a story and connecting to your audience. That's a great way, and you can use that in so many different elements. It could be at the office, it could be at a listing, any type of meeting with your team. Another thing that I find great what you do is in the car. I love when you pull out your phone and you connect. You know why the car is great in terms of audio?
Yeah.
You got that, like, it's great audio in the car, and then the lighting is great. As long as it's like not too bright, it really lights up the subject, and you could just connect one-on-one and share anything about your day right there. You could just pull out your phone. So in the car, don't
Yeah,
forget
and
that,
now
in the car.
I'll add to that. I have found, and just to throw in about the car, first of all, sound is great because you're really enclosed. You do want to just have your windows up and maybe turn the vents off so that the vents, you know what I mean, are not doing the blowing air.
Yeah,
And then from a lighting perspective, naturally we always want light in front of us. Sometimes you're going to get that shadow while you're in the car. There's two sides to this: is maybe change the angle of your car, or the second thing is, look, we're not looking for perfection.
yeah.
Right. We're not looking for this the most high end, like, cinematic, like we're about to throw this up on the big screen at the movie theater kind of thing. This is a piece of content. And back to the first message that we started with today of consistency, you're going to create another one anyway. So just keep moving.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So okay, here. I just brought up, as played off of what you said there from sound and lighting. You can always do a way better job with my stuff than I can. Okay. My team that does some of my video, like, and that includes you guys are always doing way better stuff than I can do on my own. Me, I'll have some fun with stuff. Typically speaking, if I'm recording me, it's like a quick like clip. I'm not doing transitions. If anybody's scoping my Instagram and you see like some of the stuff I do for Josh, my son, with his baseball, there I'm having a little fun. I've taken a whole bunch of different clips through it while he's working out, and I kind of turn it into like this 30-second little reel where we've got quick transitions. And dude, did you check out the one I did the other day? You would love the editing, man. It was like his buddy is pitching and he's throwing the ball, and then we clipped it where the ball's coming into Joshua's glove, and Joshua catches, go to throw it back, and then as the ball leaves his hand, we get the video from the other guy catching the baseball. You'd love the transition, Mike.
Oh,
But it was
nice.
it was so basic though. But like I was able to do that without coming through and hiring a professional like yourself. And again, trying to empower people that, hey, you've got the ability to do some of the basic stuff on your phone. Are there, I guess maybe some professional tips or just making sure that it looks polished enough. It's got some sort of professionalism to it. Is there anything that you would suggest there?
Yeah. So the biggest tip, if we're going to be looking at using your phone,
Yeah.
one of the biggest thing is I always, whenever I'm filming with my phone, I always tap the middle. Let me just see here. Let me bring this up. Okay. Photo. No. Can you see? Okay, we all see this here.
Yeah.
There, that there. If you see how I could, like, if you keep your finger, you bring it down.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I always adjust the brightness every single time. I've
Oh,
never,
you're on
I
iPhone, right?
yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna see if so throw it on video. And are you pressing record and then you do that?
No, you could do it prior to pressing record, and
Ah,
even
okay.
just do a selfie
I don't
right
know
now
if
on you, and adjust, lower the brightness, because it's for sure. Usually, it's overexposing so that everything is well lit. Now, in your environment right now, I know if you reduce the exposure, you're still going to be well lit, and it's going to give it a bit more of a professional cinematic look, where it's not washed out. I'm sure you see
right.
sometimes
Yep,
people, you see their video and it seems washed out. The color's not there. You have to reduce the exposure, okay? And then that's when it really starts to come together. There are more technical tips, but I
for
feel like
sure.
it might be a bit more too advanced,
Well,
such as,
but that's where you hire a guy like you,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
like it's getting into that next level. You want to get like totally polished, you want to get some high level stuff, you come to you,
yeah,
right? Where I'm going today is from a simplicity perspective of like, hey, look, everybody, it's 2025. Video is a thing. Like it's a way we communicate. It's not even a bright shiny object. It's not like a, oh, I should try it.
yeah,
Like you make video calls with people now. It's way easier to communicate with people that way. If I want to, like I was doing this with my dad the other day. He's like, we were talking about something on the phone. He's like, oh, hold, you know what? Hold on a second. And he calls me back on WhatsApp with a video call to show me because we were talking about something on a screen. He's like, right here. And then I turned mine on and showed him my screen. I'm like, no, go here.
yeah,
And right away is a real simple way to navigate. So, I mean, even thinking about that when you're communicating with clients, the
yeah,
ability to get on video just to show something is there.
yeah,
But there's got to be that comfort for how to do it. And when it comes to creating content, everybody's looking for perfection. And what we're trying to do today is actually simplify all of that, right?
yeah.
So we think about content ideas, Mike, and we go, all right, don't try to be a creator on a regular basis. Just document.
Yes.
We talk about the fact that you can use your phone for it. And as long as you just turn on and hit record, it's going to capture stuff.
Yeah.
Now you've got a whole bunch of video files. If I'm sitting back and going, all right, so I listen to you guys, I turn on my phone, I let it document me, I've got this long video. I don't really think I was doing anything special that day. Maybe I'm not happy with what I said or whatever, but I've got the clip. What would you recommend I do at that point?
So there's a few options where there are a lot of applications that you can use now on your phone to edit it.
Yeah.
Very user friendly. I highly recommend iMovie, CapCut. What else is there? Those are there's some more advanced ones, but look into those ones, iMovie, CapCut, because they're very user friendly.
I use one called Viva Video.
Okay, yeah.
Where I got it, I don't know. I went to the App Store. This must years ago. I've had the subscription forever. Cost
I
me like
use
$16 a
here.
year or
This
something.
is a prequel. Prequel.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. This has a lot of templates. I highly recommend just give the trial version.
Okay. So it's
What's
free.
great? Yeah,
It's
what's
free.
great about it has a
Yeah.
lot of different filters you can use, but it also has templates where it's like, hey, select 5 pictures, and it pumps out one of those sexy slideshows.
Cool.
So
Okay.
it's called Prequel, Prequel.
Okay. Cool. And so people could actually take that now and use that as an editing tool. And you just said something. You said it wasn't even video. You could take photos.
Yeah.
Those templates will actually turn it into a video looking post, and you can put that up.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of great tools out there that make it easier for us. And I'm sure we're hearing a lot about AI and technology.
Yeah. What
That's
do you
what
think
it's
about that?
doing. AI is allowing the average consumer to start creating content a lot easier.
Do you like what AI is doing about all this stuff? Like, is it helpful? Do you think it's grabbing good stuff?
I think that what's happening with AI is it's no different how things have just been advancing all the time when it comes to technology, right? If we take a look 20 years ago to get a drone shot, those
Yeah.
aerial footage, you'd have to get a helicopter. It'll cost you 50K, right? High performing camera, pilot, permits, all that, $50,000. Now, fast forward to now, you could hire somebody to go throw up their drone and capture that same shot. So technology allows us to provide better quality. So what is AI doing? People think that it's leveling the playing field where it's not like, okay, now anybody could just be what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing. I'm using tools. So the average consumer is using tools to start doing stuff that I do, but I'm using AI tools that the filmmakers that are creating movies. So, I'm also leveling up. So yes, it's going to level the playing field if you don't do anything about it. But if you
Right.
adapt, okay, you're gonna evolve and come up with better quality. That's why now, like, it's gonna be easier, 5 years from now, I would be able to put together a sexy $5 million commercial with a small crew. I won't be able to charge 5 million like a
Yeah.
Nike ad. It may cost 50,000 or something, but that's going to be the new norm, And then
Right.
those people that were doing those sexy Nike ads for 5 million, they're probably creating movies or short films for Nike. Like, you know what? Like, everybody's leveling up, and it's always been like that. The scary thing, though, is that AI is moving a lot quicker than anything we've seen in the past. You know how I mentioned the thing about a helicopter?
Yep.
From a helicopter shot to drone, it did take a lot of years to get there.
Yeah.
AI, boom, it's like, whoa, already 1 year, we're already there. So that's why you really have to be on board and really adapt and taking a look what's happening, what's work, what's a gimmick. And it is all over the place, and it is enhancing creators like myself to come up with better content, better quality. And then also there are tools for the consumer to allow them to create content. So it's everywhere.
Yeah, you know what? I think, and we've had a lot of discussion about AI and the use for it in the industry, and I think that from that right there, again, we talk about it being a co-pilot, and I think when it comes to editing, like I know that a couple years ago when I dabbled into leveraging it to edit video, I wasn't a fan of what it was doing. It was just automatically chopping stuff up without any rhyme or reason, and you were listening to the clips that it put together, and you're like, there's not really any substance there. And that's the one thing that it doesn't pick up on is the fact that there is no emotion attached to AI. Therefore, it doesn't think the same way we do unless it's prompted accordingly. Like, so if you're like, hey, chop this up, it'll chop it up. I mean, here, actually, funny enough, the tool that we're using right now to broadcast, StreamYard,
Yeah.
when we go to download the files when done, it actually says, and I don't remember how it prompts, but it's like, would you like our AI generator to like generate like a bunch of small clips for you?
Yeah.
And I saw that for the first time the other day. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Click. And at the end of it, the output, must have been about 20, maybe 15 to 20 little files that it pieced together. Some of them were like you and I side by side. Some of them were stacked. And they were picking out different parts of the conversation. And some of them were really good. And then others I was like, it's too fluffy. It's not thinking. It doesn't think.
Yeah.
It just does, right? And that's the kicker there again between the human and the robot of saying, look, we can get it to help us, but again, we still need to think about it. So if we said that, Mike, and we're like, all right, and just putting AI on the shelf now, but going, you gave me an idea there about documenting was a really easy way to get over the fear of the camera. Just turn it on and just do you. Just capture content. And I've always said that to people. I'm like, if you're in the car, just start talking. If you're walking, just start talking. Don't worry. Nobody's going to see it. But now you got a video file.
Yeah.
And if you've got that file, you can take that file and probably find tiny little pieces of it that you can actually leverage for something.
Yeah.
You then simplified it and said, hey, we don't even need to hear you. Just put the words over top, throw some trending music on it. And by the way, for anybody who's like, how do I know what trending music is? if you go to Instagram, if you go to TikTok and you start scrolling reels or the TikTok videos, you're going to hear certain songs, certain sounds come up on a regular basis. And down at the bottom, they're going to show you like a little arrow that's kind of pointing upwards. And that means it's trending. Now you pick that song, you literally save that file. You can literally save it or say, I want to use this, and then upload one of your videos. And now you've got this trending sound. But let's assume that I've documented. I'm going to use my phone for some editing. I've got it ready to go now, and now I really want to publish it.
Okay.
Right. I want to put it up. Where would you recommend that people are posting their videos on a regular basis? Is there certain platforms you think people should be using more, less? Is there a rhyme or reason why? Like, I guess the ultimate goal being like, I want to maximize my reach. I want to maximize engagement.
Yeah, I mean, we have access to all these platforms. That's the great thing about today is, you can at no cost go onto LinkedIn, Facebook,
That's a huge point,
Instagram.
by the way. You just said no cost.
Yeah. Before 20, 30 years ago, to get the marketing, you'd have to put it into a newspaper, you'd have to go on TV, on radio, and you're paying. You got to pay for this. Now it's free. So, with access to all these platforms, is there one that's better than the other? I mean, my answer is really, you really need to maximize all of them. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. LinkedIn is great for B2B. Okay. That's 100% is B2B. We see that in TikTok, B2C, business to consumer is great. You see a lot of people just pop off, like with one little product that they made in the garage is now going viral and they've become millionaires. Instagram, Facebook. They've been here for Mark Zuckerberg is behind this. There's billions, if not trillions of dollars behind it. And it's, that there's a lot of business going on there. So yeah, you can't ignore Instagram and Facebook. Where should you prioritize? I would highly recommend Instagram is still a good thing. It's still a great platform. A lot of people are saying, oh yeah, let's move on to TikTok and to LinkedIn. But I still think that Mark Zuckerberg and their whole team, I'm saying it like I know them. It's like,
Zuck,
I
right?
spoke
Yeah,
to Mark.
yeah.
But no, they are always enhancing the platform so that it's better and better for the user. LinkedIn is a great opportunity because nobody really thinks about creating content for LinkedIn. So there's an opportunity within LinkedIn because it's not oversaturated. So I would highly recommend to stay consistent on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you are, depending on who your target audience is, TikTok is also a thing too. So you could publish it all onto different platforms. Now, I know that you need to understand that each platform is different. You're not going to post a piece of content on TikTok and expect the same thing on LinkedIn because
that's a great point, man. Yep.
Audience is different. But I'm speaking to, we're not all like Gary Vee that has a multi-million-dollar media team behind it that could pump out 20 pieces of content. The average person cannot create content for each platform. So they're repurposing it for the different platforms. But keep in mind, if you're going to create something for LinkedIn, keep that in mind and prioritize LinkedIn for this piece. You could still put onto the other platforms, but this one here, this is where I'm doubling down. I want to speak to the other business owners on LinkedIn.
These are good points to bring up here because I think that even to help simplify that even further, I always recommend look at the platforms you're on. Right. So if you're not on TikTok, you just don't find yourself going there, I'm going to start from saying from the basics, don't worry about it. Right. But if you're finding yourself going to Instagram and, for example, LinkedIn on a regular basis, then yeah, be present, right? Put some content out there, post your videos there. I look at TikTok as purely entertainment value. If I want to go on there and just, see some stuff about baseball or hockey or whatever, I'll go there. Because it's almost the aimless scroll where you're just it's like watching TV. There's just entertainment value. Yeah. Whereas I find Instagram will have a lot more, depending on who's following you and you're following and the algorithms and whatnot, depends on the content that you're going to see, but it is more pointed. And then again, like you said with LinkedIn, very business to business. So, I mean, my thing to everybody from a simplifying perspective is, be where you are, right? So if you're going to create content, put it up where you find yourself going. Now, as we talk about creating content, what advice do you have for people? Like we talked about, okay, documenting, I'll keep coming back to that because I think it was such a simple way. Just turn the camera on and just go. And then in that, you'll find something. But how do I, as I start to do this more, and we talked about consistency off the top, and we talk about the different platforms we're posting to, how can our audience, keep the content fresh, keep it engaging, and at the same time, stay competitive in the marketplace? Like, I guess maybe it comes back to that fresh and engaging stuff
Yeah.
beyond just documenting.
Mm-hmm,
Like, where do I go from there? Is it after the consistency, you start getting comfortable and do this? What would you say?
Yeah. So there's a lot, there's some main pillars that I look into. I'm sure we hear this often where it's like when you're creating content, provide value, not just
Yep.
in videos, but just in life
Yep.
in general. It's
Yep.
always great to provide value. Now, people don't really actually break down like what is value? I think we kind of know subconsciously what value is, but when you identify these pillars, it then makes it easier for you to start creating and providing value. So I remember at your mastermind, David, I broke it down. There's 4 pillars,
Yep.
but I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible. So yeah, there's 4 pillars, but I find there's 2 main driving factors when it comes to content and providing value. It's through educational and through entertainment. We
Mm-hmm.
either want to learn something or we want to entertain. We escape to the movies. We want to escape a life and be entertained, have a good laugh, listen to a story. So take a look at those 2 pillars, entertainment and education.
Love
Okay.
that.
A lot of us are experts at what we do. So we're going to fall into that educational pillar, right? Now you could add little things such as what's trending, be relevant, what's going on in the market. It's very important to address, like right now, we see how it's a mess all globally, these tariffs and everything.
Yep.
How can I tie what's going on, what's relevant right now to what I'm doing in my profession?
Now, would you say that's educate or is that entertain?
Education.
Okay,
So
cool. Yep.
So either or. So you start with 2 pillars. Does my content fall under education or more entertainment? Education, perfect. Let's go down this education route.
Mm-hmm.
How can I enhance it? Okay, I can enhance it by being more relevant. I can make it inspirational. I can maybe incorporate storytelling. Storytelling. I'm really big on storytelling because it allows us to really express yourself, connect with this like-minded people. And it also incorporates a bit of that entertainment aspect that we've been talking about. So when you're creating content, try to make it relevant, try to make it educational, inspirational. This is what's going to provide value in your piece of content.
I like that you brought that up because I always talk to like values like motivate, educate, inform, and inspire.
Yeah.
And I think that the education piece is there. The motivate, inform, inspire could be there. I like the entertaining though, and I will say that. And look, we talked about the podcast being 329 episodes. We've got a video that we like our video series that we've been putting. We put out a ton of video, but there's like one particular video that we've been doing 462 Mondays in a row.
Mm-hmm.
462 Mondays in a row, Mike. Okay, that's like 7 or 8 years, 9 years, something like that.
Yeah.
The evolution, though, of video for us, as much as we've done, we still haven't mastered it. We're still working towards like what's going to work. And when you bring up the idea of value, we really try hard to add value. And then there's times we start going down this road and listen, everybody like tuned in again, understand where I'm going with this. Your mind is going to go certain places thinking, let's do this, or let's say that, or let's go here. And then you're going to do it thinking it's so great. And then you're going to look back on it after the fact. And I encourage everybody, go back to your videos and go, is that still in line with who I am, what I do, the message I try to deliver? And it doesn't always have to be business by any means. Does it fit me? Does it suit me?
Yeah.
And maybe you look back and say, yeah, it's great. And I'm still going to challenge you and go, hey, what else can you do to evolve?
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, when we see that initial success and then we say, okay, I want to scale my efforts. I want to boost my visibility. I want to boost my credibility. I look at it now, and we've just made another change to our strategy where we've started to incorporate more of the entertain.
Yeah.
Right. And it's once a week. We just put something up there that might be like a good little feel good or like a smile or a chuckle.
Yeah.
And it just kind of wraps even more value into the content that we're automatically or ultimately putting out there for people, but it kind of ties people in a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right. So it's wrapping in some of the fun. Right. So, you know,
it's like you got to look at the high level of this. Like, it's not just the one video that's going to tell your story. It's the overall picture. What's the brand voice?
That's it, right?
So when you start combining that series that you're doing on Monday with this and this and this, it tells actually a bigger picture. And people that follow you will start to resonate and connect with you. We often talk about value, right? Okay, what value are you doing in the video? What value? I think it's more important to think of, how am I connecting? I'm not saying forget about value.
Yep.
But think about, how are you connecting with the right individuals? Because I could create videos and talk about all the technical aspects of video, like, okay, the ISO, color gradient, stuff like that. But am I connecting to the right people that I want to? I want to connect with people like yourself, business owners, CEOs, VPs. So they don't want to hear about the technical side of things.
Right.
So what do they need to what do I need to create so that I can connect with more like-minded people like you? So yes, think value, but think more connecting. Okay, this is an opportunity to connect with the people that I want to connect with.
So I think that is such a huge point for people to really pick up on, right? Because it makes so much sense. Like, yeah, Mike, don't tell me in your videos about ISO and everything else, color gradients. You're over my head.
Yeah.
That and quite frankly, maybe as that came out of my mouth, I'll say there's a part of it that says, like, we just did that right now. You just mentioned ISOs and color gradients, and I said over my head. Hey, Mike, can you do that for me? So there is an aspect of it that says, hey, if you put something out there, or at least you tell a story about, how somebody did a video really good, like let's say from your end, how a good video versus a bad video or whatever, it may lead people to go, oh, this guy knows what to do. Let me lean on him and ask him. And so everybody tuned in again, think about the same thing there when we say to you, the same idea of think about stories. And that's something that I've done over the years as well, is like, I'll have a conversation with somebody. And of course, I'll never share who or the details of what or whatever else, but I will share the story.
Yeah.
In certain words, to recount it, to create a connection with my audience that they go, oh, I've been there, or I've gone through that.
Yeah.
And then we talk about how we helped it with the solution, and we give a little bit of value in educate, right? So there's a little bit of entertain by telling you the story. And I sometimes get a little bit, into the story, right? But then there's like, educate through what can we do to take away from that now?
Yeah.
And that's again another message to everybody about when you're creating content. Think about those opportunities you have where you can tell a story to people. You can tell them about what's going on. So there's some entertainment value, but then you can educate them on the other end to say, and this is kind of how you deal with it. And look, at the end of the day, people get so worried, and we talked about this before too, about giving away like free value.
Yeah.
Right. And say, I'm not charging for it. But when people start to recognize that you're an expert in that field, they do look for the easy answer, something to help lighten the workload or get them over that challenge. And they will lean on you for that stuff, right? They will come to you, right? So like, when it comes to like creating content and doing it regularly, is there something that you would say, like, leverage this to motivate you, even though you don't see immediate results? Like, here's how to motivate yourself to keep going. Is there anything you would say to anybody?
Well, I could share a bit, perhaps, my creative process when it comes to putting together a video. Working with somebody like yourself or any client or even myself, What's the whole thought process behind it? So one, you always want to find out what is the goal, what are they trying to achieve? And when I put together a concept, I really try to break it down, and I use the storytelling aspect as almost as an infrastructure of how we're going to put together this concept. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning is the hook, you know. There's a character, there's a hero to this. So this is the yourself, your personal brand. There's some conflict that we're trying to there's an obstacle there, you know, in a story. That's the problem. Okay. And then there's the resolution. So this is kind of like the infrastructure that I look at. Okay, what is the hook?
Mm-hmm.
What's the payoff? Often we hear a lot about, okay, what's the hook? What's the hook? Honestly, think about also the payoff as well at the end. What is the payoff? What's the resolution? And then the middle is kind of like that story that you're telling, that conflict that keeps it engaging. And then it's the problem that you're solving. So sometimes I come up with a very creative hook. I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna hook people. Then I'm like, okay, but what's the payoff to this?
Right.
Okay, I got a great hook. Okay, I got to come up with some kind of, I figured this is the conclusion. Okay, what's the middle now? How do I now this is the creative process. It's
How
like,
do I connect the dots?
everything. Sometimes I have the middle. Okay, I got the middle. I got the meat, the body of this whole thing. I know the problem. Now I got to find a hook and then a payoff. So try to segment it. Try to come up with a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you're creating a piece of content where that beginning could easily be the end, or the end could be the beginning, or whatever, it's not strong enough. It has to be clear that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and use that kind of structure of the hook, the body, and then the payoff. The hook, obviously, you're going to grab somebody's attention, the body being the story that you're telling, and the payoff is the solution to the problem. And that's what gets people to share it. Like, oh, that's what you solved my problem. I'm gonna go share.
You just nailed it, man. Because that's exactly it. Like when you're creating the videos, and that's something I will say, even for me, took me a long time to learn about that. When it came to what's the action step, what's the takeaway, then there's also that idea of, well, how do you make sure people like stop and like listen for a moment, right? And so how are you going to capture? How are you going to capture their attention? How are you going to hook them in?
Yeah.
What are you going to say to them that makes it resonate? And then what are you going to tell them that they can do after the fact about it?
Yeah.
Right. So again, wicked structure there. Now, I was going to ask you, like, is there one thing that you wish everybody knew when it came to video marketing, the power of video marketing? Maybe that was it, but maybe there's something else there. I don't know. Is there anything that, like, if I said to you, like, the power of video marketing, what's that one thing that you wish everybody knew about it?
I think it's really to focus on connecting. Focus on connecting. So in order to connect, so we say that, okay, Mike, I'm going to try and connect. Yeah. Well, what do you need to do to connect with the right people? You need to understand the audience. You need to understand their needs. You got to understand what the process is that they're going through when they're making a decision in your services. So understand that, like, it doesn't hurt. Call some of your past clients and ask them, like, hey, what made you decide to go with my services? What made me stand out from the rest? Use that intel. You
did that at my mastermind last year. And it's funny, I've been using this example lately with a lot of folks, because, you know, trying to encourage everybody to, like, get more testimonials, get more social proof from your audience. And I'm sure you remember this, but we were basically asking everybody, we're trying to create a testimonial video for the event.
Yeah.
And instead of recording and saying, so what did you think? How did you like it? We were very pointed in saying, why should somebody else come to this event next year? And we kept asking the exact same question. We basically provoked an answer. And at the end of it, we came up with the content that we wanted for that particular video, which essentially answers the question to anybody who's thinking about coming to the event. Now you got all these people that have just answered that question for you. Just listen to their answers.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like, again, what are you trying to accomplish? Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Mike, what would you say? You know, we've given people a lot of tips today about, you know, mastering video from the basics of like your smartphone, the simplicities of just document, don't overthink this thing, to the complexities of lighting we talked to and sound just in some way. And we didn't go deep. And then even deeper on the complexity, let's say, of once you get beyond documenting, hook, substance, and action as a format. We've given people ways to go about doing this. We've emphasized the why of doing marketing or why leverage video marketing specifically. What would you say to somebody who turned to you and said, "But Mike, I can't do it"? What would you say to them?
They can't create the content themselves, or
they're just like, man, I hear
marketing.
you, I get what you're saying, I can't do it. I can't. Like, if we're talking about getting over the fear, we're talking about coming up with the idea, we're talking about like press and record, like, what would you say to them?
So this is what you do: you grab your phone, all right, you look up David Greenspan, send him a DM, and be like, David, I'm stuck. You call that guy Mike that you had on your podcast.
This is funny. I was going to put this up here, your handle on Instagram, and say,
I would
you
love
call this guy.
if somebody that is stuck, which is a common thing, it is a hard thing. That's why we're sharing all these little tips to push you over and get your feet wet and try out these really simple things. Because once you start doing it, you're going to get more and more comfortable with things, and then you're going to start leveling up. You just need to understand that this is the norm. This whole creating content and social media, it's no longer a luxury for us to just escape and get entertained. It's the way we communicate. So, I mean, check people's like how much phone time I guarantee you majority of people are like 5 to 10 hours a day. So if, as a business owner, an entrepreneur, if the traffic is there, there's just common sense. If there's traffic there, then there's opportunity. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I want to bring something up that you mentioned. Okay. We're working on a video right now, Dave. I'm putting together your thing. I'm nice. Scrubbing through your class, your training thing.
Yeah.
I love this. You were talking about how there's two groups. There's your contact list, mm-hmm. and then there's the people you don't know. Sometimes we focus so much on the people we don't know, and we want to grow and get all these new followers. Why don't you shift your focus on the people that you already know and create quality content that resonates to them, that you can connect to them, rather than trying to attract all these new people. So I love that. That's the way that I approach marketing. I build it for the people around me, the network that I already have. I want to build stronger relationships with them. Yes, it's a bonus if anybody outside of that comes into play, but I'm not looking to go viral. I would love to go viral, but my priority is that first bucket, the people that are in your contact list. You've already developed some kind of relationship, so let's expand that.
That's a great point. Great. I thank you for listening to all that stuff. And but what you just expressed too is the support to it all, and that's there's a real message to that to everybody, right? Again, we're always chasing strangers.
Yeah.
And the biggest objection I get all the time from people is like, yeah, but I need new business. It's like, whoa, hold on a second.
Yeah.
We know that 70 to 90% of what you do anyways comes from most of the time the circle around you, the people that do know you, mm-hmm. hopefully like you, and maybe they trust you. Maybe you still got to build a trust with them, but there's already a know who you are factor there. Those are the people to go after because they will tell other people.
Yeah.
And back to what you said about cost earlier, like how these social platforms are free, just post the stuff. It's very similar, right? Connecting with the people that you know, group number one, is always going to lead to more opportunity faster. And they will introduce you to people in group number two. And in today's context of create content for people in group number one, think about who they are. And again, everybody tuned in, like think about who they are. Think about the stories they've told you, the challenges they've had, the interactions you've had together, the questions they've asked. Leverage that as a basis for the type of content you're going to create. Now, again, we could go on for hours about video and content. And of course, in that training that you and I are working on doing some stuff together for right now, we teach about content creation. We spend an entire session on content creation alone. Forget social and video. We then spend an entire session on social media. We spend an entire session on video, mm-hmm. really bringing together a complete content strategy for people which includes things like creating work back schedules and themes for your day and macro and micro content and, how to create the content. Like we go through everything,
Yeah.
in such fine detail to make sure that everybody walks away going, I got this. I know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously all in an effort of helping people build up their brands, achieve a higher level of success and confidence. And of course, build a lot more mind share.
Yeah.
Mike, you get to work with some amazing people, and again, your branding, your crew, everybody there is awesome. You guys are such true professionals, and seriously, man, it's a complete honor to work with you guys and have you, as part of our crew as well. In a day where you're working with so many different people, and you've done what you had to do, and you're a business owner as well. You're an entrepreneur. You're building your stuff, and you're doing a fantastic job. You've got a family. Like you come home after everything. How do you know it's been a successful day for you?
Man, Dave, you put me on the spot here.
He's like, I thought we were talking about video.
Yeah. Product. I know it's so very basic. As long as I'm very productive in my day as an entrepreneur, there's just, hey, we were talking about this earlier, right? About the whole entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. Is this ever good? It's always something coming across, as much as we love, I love being an entrepreneur, the flexibility, there's so much on the line, the pressure, in order to provide for our family. So there's constantly something that comes up that we need to take care of. So whether it be your marketing, the team, clients, there's always something there. So what's a productive day? It's really finding the right balance, in being productive as an entrepreneur, because I know it's so important. We know, and I know in your industry, you talk about like the mindset, it 100% is. There's nobody that's going to push you and be like, hey, do this, do this, do that. It's really on you. I have my off days. I have my great days. So I try to stay motivated when things are not going so great. Yeah. Try to find ways to be active at the gym. Maybe it's with my wife, with my kid, with my family. So it's very, I know the answer I'm giving you is very general, but I really want to be as productive as possible. And that's whether through my business, through my family, through my craft. Sometimes on the weekend, I'm not sitting around watching Netflix. I'm actually testing out some new things. I'm looking into AI. And that's a benefit with what I do. I love what I do. So it's like, hey, it's always like sometimes work doesn't even feel like work. So anybody, any creator out there, any business owner, any entrepreneur, hey, we all go through this whole roller coaster of a journey, and try to stay positive. As cheesy as it may sound, try to stay positive, stay active, surround yourself with the right people, continue to have these conversations, connect with people, like-minded people, and it's going to help you get through these tougher, dark times.
My man, I'll tell you, not fluffy, not cheesy. One thing you did not mention is measuring success based on how much money you made. And again, 329 episodes deep, nobody ever brings up money when we talk about success. And that in of itself is one of the most powerful learning moments I get on this show every single time I get to interview amazing people like yourself, to go, the most successful don't actually measure success based on money.
Mm-hmm.
It's good insights, man. Mike, any final words? I know you just left us with a powerful message there. First, I've got your Instagram handle up here on the screen, Mr. Santeezy, MrSanteezy. Follow this guy on Instagram. Connect with him for any of your video needs. You're an absolute magician. You and your team are It's just awesome. You do like wicked work. It gets me hyped up every single time I see the stuff. Where can people connect with you outside of Instagram? And do you have any final words you want to share with anybody about anything?
Yeah, just simply, let's take advantage of this social media tool and allow us and focus on connecting with like-minded people. I think when you approach it that way, you'll be able to provide the value that we all discuss to the right people. So continue to connect with like-minded individuals. Get out there and create. Don't get too intimidated. I know that everybody's creating content, but there's actually a bigger story to be told. I think that everybody, as a business owner and entrepreneur, have a story to be told. And I think that the world is just awaiting, which is why you got to get out there and start creating content. All right. Stop sitting around and waiting for things to happen and just do it.
Let's go. I love it.
That's it.
Mr. Santisi, Mike Santos, a big thank you to you, my man. I seriously grateful for all your time today, all of the insights. I thank you for joining our episode of the MindShare podcast and teaching everybody about how to get over that fear of getting on camera. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
You've been listening to these to the MindShare podcast, whether it's on one of your favorite podcast platforms. Maybe you might went to my website, mindshare101.com. Hey, while you're there, be sure to explore how our full range of services, from our one-to-one coaching, our MindShare collective group coaching, which is brand new. You need to check that out. Our momentum training and our keynote speaking will take your business to the next level. Of course, don't forget to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle. Mike just talked about the two audiences. In it, we talk about the two audiences, the 7 ways to communicate. We talk about marketing plans, marketing budgets, all of it in place to help you build more mind share. And of course, while you're building mind share and getting market share and you're on the website, check out how you can join the revolution. For any inquiries, just get in touch with us today. If you like this episode, I mean, if you didn't, please don't come back. No, I'm joking. I appreciate you. But seriously speaking, if you did like this episode, we do ask you, please go on over to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. That'll take you directly to Spotify and or iTunes. You can leave us a big 5 stars. Tell us how much you loved the show. And if we haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook and on TikTok at MindShare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan101. Just before we sign off, I need to, of course, always and luckily say thank you to Kit's Keep in Touch Systems, REM Real Estate Magazine, and REVEL Realty for their continued support of the show. This has been another episode of the MindShare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.